Thank you for downloading this podcast from the British Theatre Guide. For more information about British Theatre Guide, please visit britishtheatreguide.info. In November 2015, a new fringe theatre opened up in Ancoats, amongst the cluster of old mill buildings behind Manchester's Piccadilly Station, with the lofty ambition of presenting full-scale commercial productions of musicals. Created by musical theatre performers Joseph Houston and William Whelton, who had just moved to Manchester from London, Hope Mill Theatre has since won multiple local and national awards, transferred productions to London, and been named in the Stage 100, a list of the most influential people in the whole of UK theatre from the Stage newspaper. In the middle of January 2018, during auditions for Spring Awakening, one of 3 major productions so far announced by Hope Mill Theatre for this year, I spoke to Joe about the remarkable rise of this young venue.
Hope Mill Theatre, newcomer to the Manchester area, but one that's made a massive impression in a short time. I mean, the past 12 months have been pretty amazing for you, haven't they?
They have been. It's been a whirlwind, sort of, certainly 2 years, if not 12 months, because, you know, it's been a really busy 12 months, which was our sort of second year since opening Hope Mill. But yeah, I don't think, you know, myself or Will could ever have anticipated what was going to come when we got the keys to that space. But it's been incredible.
For the last 12 months, thinking back to last March, you got a special Achievement Award at Manchester Theatre Awards. Since then you've had the Peter Brook Empty Space nomination. Last week you were mentioned as one of the most, or two of the most powerful theatre makers in the Stage 100 list. And lots of other things in between. You had, is it 3 shows on in London, transferred to London?
Yes, so we've had 2 transfers with a third on its way coming next month. Yeah, it's been absolutely incredible, actually. And sometimes, actually, I guess the saying is it's hard to see the wood for the trees because, you know, we've been so back to back and so busy that you almost sometimes those moments happen and the next day happens and it's like, oh, you're caught up again in the madness of it all. But, you know, all of that recognition and that focus, it just strengthens, you know, the venue, gives us that sort of, highlights us in the work that we're doing, and so it's all just incredible. You know, the Manchester Theatre Award was really special to us because, you know, we chose Manchester as the city to sort of take this massive risk and gamble, which it was in the early days, and invest everything we had into opening this space. And I think that for us to receive that achievement award was almost like recognition from the community that we had taken that gamble and that risk, and it was almost them saying, you know, hats off to you, we've recognised that you've brought something here which is, you know, special to this city. So for us that really was. Unfortunately, Will, you know, wasn't even there, which was even more upsetting because he was I'm trying to think now where he was. He must have been in rehearsals for something, but so I was there on my own, and it was right at the end of the day, so it was like, you know, you'd sort of been sitting there all day and going through the awards ceremony, and then all of a sudden you're hit with that. So it was very emotional, but really, really, you know, just so overwhelmed.
Well, you certainly made an impression even up to that point. I've just said some of the things in the last 12 months since then. But you said you chose Manchester to open a commercial venue at a time when a lot of subsidised venues even was struggling financially, losing funding. It seems like a foolhardy thing to do. So why did you decide to open a commercial venue?
We're crazy. We're absolutely crazy. Do you know what? I think 100% naivety, and I'd say 90% naivety, 10% stupidity, and a lot of ambition. You know, Will and I had been struggling performers in the musical theatre industry. When I say struggling, we've done incredible jobs, we've worked in some incredible places around the world with some incredible shows, but we had sort of reached a point in our careers where we were sort of struggling to get that next big thing, and we'd sort of reached a turning point where we were maybe looking for something different. And Will being from up north, from Macclesfield, we wanted to make a move out of London. So it was a real turning point in our lives and our careers when we moved up here. And when we got up here, it was we moved. We were living in London, and we were out of work actors. Working in hospitality. We moved up to Manchester. We were still out of work actors and still working in hospitality. And that point came where we came up here and realised that there was such an exciting scene up here that we almost never felt in London. We never felt there was this really exciting art scene, because it just doesn't feel like that. It feels like it's been there for a long, long time, and you have to try and get your foot in the door or get that audition, or And we came up here and people were creative, and it felt sort of fresh, approachable, and really it just was a conversation with Will and I saying, okay, are we going to carry on being waiters, or do we want something different? And we knew it wasn't going to be not in the arts. And then when we started to look around this theatre landscape in Manchester and seeing that there was these exciting venues, but of course our passion was always musical theatre, but there weren't really those venues that we're familiar with in London, having come from there, that produce musical theatre, such as the Union, the Southwark Playhouse, the Many, all these venues that we were so inspired by in London. And we just saw that gap, and it was really just finding the space and hit the ground running and see what happened. So it was total naivety.
So you go to your bank manager saying, I want to open a theatre in Manchester to do musical theatre.
Yeah, you know what, it never even happened like that. It literally was, we viewed the space, and Will and I left after viewing the space, which is now Hope Mill Theatre, and we walked back down to an area we didn't even know what it was, that it even existed. We just arrived there, and then we walked back down the canal towards Piccadilly, and we just chatted and said, can we do this? Should we do this? And loads of things going round in our head, and excited but nervous, and thinking, it all comes down to money, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And money is, we didn't have any, and that was it. We just finished touring in a show together, so we had a little bit of funds, and I had a job coming up in a few months' time that was going to take me to Singapore, and I knew there was some money coming in from that, but not enough money to open up a theatre. No. But we had nothing to lose. I think that was it. We had nothing to lose, and so much that potentially we could gain, and we work so well together, Will and I. We both have different strengths and weaknesses, and I think where we lack in knowledge, we make up for in being eager to learn new things. And Will's quite business minded, I'm not. So we do balance each other out well. So and it was just a case of going, okay, let's do it. And we took out we went to a business start-up scheme that's set up by the government, and we took out £5,000 each, and we just said, okay, we've got £10,000, and that's all we've got to open a theatre, because it's all we had. And then we had lots of help and support from family and friends, and it was just, let's get open, and every penny we make goes back into the business and making it better, and keep and that's not changed. That's still happening. 2 years down the line, into our third year, every penny we make goes towards making Hope Mill a more functional, better venue. And that's
So did you have to spend that money on doing anything to the building, or did you just move in and start producing shows?
I think at face value we thought Hope Mill was ready to go. Because it was a great big space. It had ample amounts of toilets, which all theatres need, and so it almost felt like it was ready to go. It wasn't until we got the keys and we got in there that you start to see the sort of close up what issues there were, and certain things that have to be, like fire safety and all these things, that you're opening a theatre and a venue to the public that you can't even anticipate. So that £10,000 didn't touch the sides. Of course it didn't. And as well, what we were doing was, we weren't just opening a theatre in a space. We were opening a theatre. We knew that we had to open a bar space that was going to help us survive. So we wanted to create something that was comfortable and of a high spec. So you were getting coffee machines and teacups, and at the expense of everything was overwhelming. But we wanted to open and really go you know, even if it wasn't where we wanted it to be straight away, we wanted to open at a point where we were ready to go, this is what we've got and this is what we're trying to bring, because I think it was setting us aside a little bit, and that's what you have to do in order for people to come to you. So yeah, it was really tough, and like I say, it was just about getting open and then just constantly putting everything back into making things better, getting better equipment, you know, and all that's happened very slowly because it's all very expensive.
Yeah. So when you started, did you start mainly with your own productions, or were you also bringing other theatre companies in?
Yeah, so our first ever full-scale production was not one of ours. It was Play with Fire Productions, who are a Manchester-based production company, and at the time that was their premiere production as a company. And again, that was very much like, you know, them coming and seeing the space, and we just wanted something to start the ball rolling of getting work in the space. They were totally fell in love with the space as well, and actually it was a great production. You know, it was great for them, great for us, because they were getting a bit of a name in the Manchester theatre scene, and it was bringing people to see their premiere production, but also people to see our space. So, you know, it was Orphans by Lyle Kessler that they did. You know, it did very, very well. So that was the first full-scale thing that we had. It ran for 2 weeks, and since Play with Fire have brought a production to us, well, twice a year they have. So we've had Sans Merci, which they brought last year, and then we had Herding Cats earlier this year, and we've got them coming back in May. So that's been a great relationship as well, you know, that we've been able to see them grow as a company and vice versa. And then our first in-house production was Parade, the Northern premiere, which was 26, so it was March 2016, and that was when we started this collaboration with Katie Lipson of Ari Entertainment, who is now our co-producer, co-artistic director of the venue, and that was really exciting at the time as well. And we also teamed up with James Baker at that time, who directed it and also co-produced with us as well, another person who had been, you know, really starting to champion musical theatre up here in the region. So it was great to have him on board as well, and that relationship between Katie and I became very fruitful. And we, you know, she's a Manchester gal, she's originally from Manchester, so she really became so invested and passionate about our space, and she really, you know, fell in love with it in a way that we had as well, which was great, because we were at that stage where we were trying to find how the venue was going to work, and, you know, find you know, how it was going to function. You know, we were very early days, so we didn't really have that clear mind of producing and what goes into actually putting on a full-scale production, whereas Katie was moving on to extremely exciting things, like, you know, being a lead producer on the Addams Family UK tour, having come from, you know, a fringe background in London, so she knew both sides of the scale. And we were just, thank our lucky stars that someone like Katie wanted to take a risk on a venue like us and become part of that. And she did, and she came on board, and we had a really successful premiere production of Parade that did extremely well. You know, got loads of people through the doors, and this was audiences that maybe weren't familiar with seeing musicals on the scale, you know, so they were shocked at how intimate it was. But I think really that was the sort of catalyst for people, you know, seeing what could be done and what we were about and what we wanted to start producing. And since then it sort of just got bigger and bigger.
Yeah, well, that was the first production I saw then.
Yeah.
And it was something very different, because even the regional subsidised theatres, you wouldn't see that sort of scale of production there, because you had a huge cast, you had a full live band, no recorded music, and that's all really expensive if you're doing a full professional production. So how did you afford to do a production like that on that scale?
So in the early days there was lots of favours. But those were thin.
Yeah.
When you're on the stage 100, not a lot of people give you as many favours because they think you don't need it, which is not true. But so there were a lot of favours in the early days, and a lot of please can you help us with this from, you know, and a lot of people jumped at that chance, you know, borrowing costumes from Oldham and Manchester University and, you know, all these different places, and it's all that makes a massive difference. And it just we just we put the money in the pot, we got the shop and running, and then thankfully we were very lucky that it sold extremely well. But it was very ambitious, but we had to, because, you know, when we opened that venue, before anyone came on board, you know, Will and I knew what we wanted it to be. We knew that we wanted to produce high quality, high production values, because that's what was going to set us aside, and that's what was going to hopefully give our productions futures. We always wanted that. We always wanted Hope Mill to be a premier venue for revivals, new musicals, all that sort of thing, and it happened a lot quicker than what we anticipated. And I think that was definitely, you know, Katie coming on board. But yes, it was very expensive. We wanted to be able to pay our actors. It was very important to Will and I, because we've been performers. So, and we work for nothing, and it's hard because you can't survive. So, you know, in the early days, it was nowhere near, you know, what we're able to pay now. You know, but we were passionate about that, and that was very important to us. You know, and that's every production that we've done. It's just continued to grow. You know, everything's got a bit more investment. Everything's got a little bit more money put towards it. But it's still very hard. Still very hard to produce on this scale. There's no, you know, that's just the way it is. It's hard. It's really hard, and we don't always see. You know, we don't see a return. Full stop. But we're in it for the bigger picture in the long run, and we've got to make the investments now in the venue and in the brand and in the productions, and the hope that they have life, and that, you know, we can take them on to the next level. But
which you have done with several productions. The next stage is taking those productions to London, which is a massive step again, isn't it? So how did that come about? It's through Katie, obviously.
Again, it's through Katie. You know, it was always something that we saw. Like I said, that Hope Mill was going to do. It was always something that we dreamed was the 5-year plan. It just was the 5-month plan. But again, it was just Katie and that investment and that collaboration where she knew that this could work, and that, you know, venues in London proved that there was this model already there, and to have a regional producing house that transferred shows was just really exciting, and that's exactly how it happened. You know, we had Hair, which was our second musical, which was November 2016, and it got such a great buzz up here. You know, it was a classic revival, and it got great reviews, and we knew that last year was going to be its 50th anniversary of its off-Broadway premiere. So all the stars sort of aligned for that to have a London run, and once you get open and you get those reviews, you can go back to the right holders and say, can we take it to London? And they give the go-ahead for that. So we already had announced that was our first transfer. But what ended up happening was Yank came last March, and again, it was the biggest risk we'd taken. You know, it was only a third musical, but it was a real risk. It was an unheard of musical. It was a European premiere. You just don't know what the response is going to be. It was a big scale musical. You know, there was a lot to lose. But again, people just connected so well with it, and it got such a great reception. So when the opportunity came to be able to take it to Charing Cross, you know, over summer for that 7-week run, it just felt like the right move. It felt like Yank wasn't over. It felt like it needed life afterwards. It deserved life afterwards, to go to London and enjoy a run down there, and for people to see it, because it would have been such a shame if it just ended here. And so that ended up being our first transfer, which was never going to be the case. So actually, the week that Yank opened in London was the week that Will and I got married. So that was never planned. So it was very stressful. We were in London for the press night of Yank the same week we were getting married. So it was amazing, but very stressful. So and again, it got such a great reception in London, more than we could have ever imagined, and people totally fell in love with the show. So I'm so glad that we did that. I'm so glad we took it down there. And then subsequently Hair came around in October. It opened. It's just about to close tomorrow, which will be Saturday, 13th of January, and it's had a great run. It's been really well received. We couldn't have anticipated that it would have been so well received in London, and it's had such a great buzz. So, and then we have Pippin, which was with us last year which is also opening next month at Southwark Playhouse, which we're really excited about. I think it's a perfect venue for the show. Again, Pippin has always been a tricky title, but I think we managed to do something really unique with it and really stripped back in a way, not the big circus, Broadway thing. And I think that brought a real nice sort of focus to it that people just really seem to love it. So I'm really excited about taking it down to Southwark, sharing it with everyone.
Those 3 productions have gone to 3 different London theatres as well. So your relationship not with the theatres themselves through Katie, it's you're just transferring to whichever's the appropriate venue.
That's it, and that's the key. It's all about the appropriate venue. We knew that Yank was going to sit really well in Charing Cross, that end on, sort of like model box sort of setting, and being in the centre of London, during Pride, and all the sort of everything aligned for that venue. So that made complete sense. And the same with Hair. Going to the Vaults. This is a quirky space, which is a railway arch, a little bit sort of downtrodden underneath Waterloo. Works perfect. You feel like you're going to some hippie commune, so it works perfect for Hair. Same with Pippin. It's a very musical theatre title. Southwark gets, it's got such a great musical theatre audience following, and it's got that high ceilings for our big proscenium arch. And so it is, we've been very, very specific and careful about where these shows are going. I think that's key as well to its success. You don't just take the slot anywhere. I think it's got to fit the production.
But it must be a sign that the name Hope Mill is respected around more than one theatre in London, though, the fact that they're willing to take those shows from you.
I think so. I mean, again, we could never have anticipated, Will and I trained and lived in London, and we were just, Joe and Will, treading the boards as waiters, and all of a sudden now, it's it's the owners of Hope Mill Theatre, which is incredible, and it's amazing. And so I think our main focus when we first opened was, Manchester, of course, and getting open and getting that name and getting the community in, and which happened, and we were embraced and welcomed by everybody in the community and the city, which was great. But now, people being able to talk about us in London, it just gives us so much more scope to be able to branch out and premiere, like I say, things here and then take them on to London. And it's really exciting that there's a buzz about us in London, because we're a Hope Mill Theatre, grade 2 listed mill in Ancoats in Manchester, and we're taking shows to London. So that's really, really special. And I think when we got nominated, last year, and subsequently we're nominated again this year for the Fringe Theatre of the Year, to be able to go there and see Hope Mill Theatre Manchester when it tends to be a lot of London fringe venues that are nominated. That's special to us because it's, we're totally invested in Manchester and the theatre scene up here. So it's great.
And upcoming, you've got a couple more musicals, another brand new one that people don't know, that opens in a couple of weeks' time, or is it next week?
Next week,
sorry to break that to you.
I know, God.
And then, you can hear some noise in the background, you've just had over 5,000 people auditioning for your production of Spring Awakening. So a busy couple of days, but another busy 12 months, I would imagine.
So I think this is definitely our most exciting season, today. We really, really had to sit down and really get our heads together and think about, what Hope Mill season was, third full year was going to be. And we're really excited with the choices that we've got. We're starting the year opening on the 18th of Jan and running to the 10th of Feb with Toy Boy Diaries. It's a world premiere of a new British musical. It's unlike anything that we've programmed at the theatre before. It's our smallest cast. It's a cast of 5. It's based on a best-selling novel of the same name. It's very very British in its humour. It's very fun. It's light-hearted. There's no big death scenes, or it's nothing like that, but it is new musicals, and we are really passionate about championing new musical theatre. But with that, there's a massive risk. There's a massive risk when you put on a musical that no one has heard of. But we're very passionate about revivals. but you've got to be able to take that risk and say, this is a new musical, you've never heard of it, but you know, it's got legs, it hopefully has a bright future ahead of it. It's the first time it's ever been fully staged. Katie workshopped it as her page to stage, one of her page to stage musicals, which is a platform for new musicals, I think 2 years ago, and it got a really great response. So she saw something in it, she passed it on to myself, and you know, I read it and I thought, this is great. It's very Bridget Jones, it's very light, it's something that, you know, we need, you know, because we've had these big epic musicals, but it's very stripped back, it's very fun, it's got a beautiful original score. Yeah, I'm really excited about Toy Boy, and I think that, you know, it has got sort of commercial viability, you know, I really do. And then of course Spring Awakening, which I wholeheartedly believe is probably going to be our biggest title of the year. Exactly what you say, you know, we put out an open submission for auditions for Manchester and got nearly 5,000 applicants. Who could imagine that people are that, you know, excited about this show? It's such a great title. It's really exciting, the team that we managed to pull together. We've got Luke Shepherd on board, who, you know, directed In the Heights in London, and also most recently Secret Diary of Adrian Mole at the Meniere. The same team, he's put together the same team from In the Heights, so the same designer. We've got Gareth Brereton, who was the musical director and is the musical director on Hair Manchester and Hair London, coming back to MD, and he's fab. So yeah, it's such a great team we've managed to pull together, and I think it's such a fantastic show, and I think it will bring in a real new audience for us, a young audience. And I know that Luke's really, really passionate about making this revival firmly rooted in Manchester. You know, I know that he's really using the city and its surroundings for his sort of inspiration, so I think it's going to be really unique as well. And then after that, this summer, we've got a revival of an Andrew Lloyd Webber, Aspects of Love. I've been dying to do an Andrew Lloyd Webber since we opened the venue. It's not done. They're not done that much up north. You know, they're not. They don't tend to sort of tour a lot when they're mounted, or if they're even mounted. And Aspects of Love is just beautiful. It's a gorgeous show. It's one of his classics. And again, you know, all of these shows, what's fantastic is the directors we get on board, they're so inspired by the venue, by the space, by the city, by its surroundings, and we find that these shows are so unique and personal to our venue, and that's what it's all about. It's not about saying, oh, this is what this show needs to be and we need to squeeze it into this space. I really think that people come and are inspired by what we have. So I think this will be something really intimate, really sincere, really beautiful. You know, we're using a gorgeous orchestration, really small orchestration, stripped back, and again a complete contrast to Toy Boy Diaries and Spring Awakening, so something there for a whole new audience. And then we are going to be announcing, hopefully sort of in the next few months, 2 other musicals for later in the year, if I'm still here.
That's 4 musicals.
That'll be 5 in total.
5.
Yeah. So we're hoping
not to mention any London transfers that happen in the meantime.
I know. Well, so we already know there's one London transfer, obviously, which is Pepin. So technically, if we produce 5 musicals at Old Mill, that'll be 6 this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, we are. It's hard work. It is hard work, but we're very careful about the shows that we choose and whether they have a future, what that future is for them. You know, so there's a lot of planning and pre-planning that goes into what's going to happen to shows. And yeah, so it's a busy year already, and we're only just started.
And all that, and still, if you go to buy a drink at the bar at Hope Mill, you might get served by somebody from the stage 100 list.
Oh, you'll 100% get served by me. Well, we're there all the time. Yeah, that's just it. But again, I think that's what audiences love. That,
absolutely,
you know, they get to come, and Will and I, you know, because we are an independent theatre with no funding. Yeah, of course we have to work bar shifts. You know, and we're not, and we're, you know, very, you know, we're exhausted, but you know, we're not shy of that, because we get to be there every night.
Yeah.
I mean, if I wasn't there, where else would it be? Sleeping.
So if I mean, you said you had a 5-year plan, that you were well on the way in 5 months, and you've come on a long way even since then. So I mean, you're rocketing up through various crossing things off the wish list.
Yeah.
So what would your great ambition be if you could do anything in 5 years' time with Hope Mill?
Oh goodness. What would I love? I mean, there's so much. The ambition never ends. We would love to continue to premiere exciting titles, maybe the European premieres. We would absolutely love to commission a new musical. It's something that myself, Katie and Will talk about a lot. We want to commission a brand new musical which premieres here in Manchester and hopefully has an exciting future. So that would be, that's the next thing to tick off the list. We hope to continue to produce musicals that have big futures beyond Hope Mill, whether that be touring the UK, whether that be West End, who knows?
Broadway?
Yeah, who knows? The Menier did it. So yeah, never say never. We want to, we're very, very passionate about nurturing homegrown talent in musical theatre. I think there's still a long way to go in Manchester for the genre. I think that we need, like its sort of counterpart London, I think we need really exciting schools, that are training, northern talent. So that's something that we'd be really passionate about. So who knows if there's a Hope Academy on the cards. But yeah, something that we're really, really passionate about. And then as well, we want to secure the future of Hope Mill Theatre as a venue, because we wanted to be here for a long time. So, we are currently in a leased property, and we know that we're hopefully going to be there for a long time, but who knows, you never know. So we're very we're hopeful that one day we can secure the future of Hope Mill in whatever capacity that may be. So there's lots of things to aim towards, and never stop. We sort of never stop. That ambition never stops, and we need to learn. Sometimes we need to learn to say the word no, because when it's so easy to go yes, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my god, but it's done good for us thus far. So
for more information about Hope Mill Theatre, see www.hopemilltheatre.co.uk. You've been listening to a podcast from British Theatre Guide. For more information, please visit britishtheatreguide.info.